Absolutely, Paul. You have rightly said these are very testing times for Indian football. It's very uncertain. I've been talking to a lot of clubs, and they don't know what actually the future is holding for them.
Well, they've got to put their foot down. They've got to be strong as well. I think that's a big thing. The clubs need to get together. The clubs need to stand and be together and be as one. And there needs to be one voice coming out from the clubs. And I've actually spoken to a few owners while I've been here. And their stance is, why are we putting all our money in and we get nothing out of it? And yet all of a sudden you want to do this as a split. Where's the loyalty to these people who have done this year on year on year on year? And what, all of a sudden you're going to ruin it with just one, it could be the one swoosh of a pen could absolutely decimate Indian football. So that's why I said they need to be very, very careful. And I need to choose my words carefully. But these are my opinions. Yeah. This is what I think. This is what I believe. But Indian football needs to be very, very careful over the next 12 months in which direction it wants to take.
Absolutely. Coming to English Premier League, obviously the biggest brand of football that is followed in India and of course in Goa. So in EPL we've seen a large number of influx of investors coming in and buying clubs, and thus the smaller clubs are really fighting for nothing, absolutely just for survival. So how do you think this imbalance is shaping up? What will it eventually do to football, and how are the viewers, the audience? They are finding it difficult to get season tickets, I believe. So what is the equation right now?
Well, the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. I think that's the key. But to be fair to the Barclays Premier League, the difference is that the television rights are set across the board. Now, the deal is done by the Premier League, it's not done by individual clubs, so everybody gets a fair share. So it's how you distribute that money within your team, within your squad, within your budget, and particularly with the fair play rules coming in now, then that's going to be interesting. We hear that Chelsea will only go to 30 million to sign Wayne Rooney because of the fair play rules, so that's what they've got to play with. So they would have to sell somebody to recoup more money to be able to buy Wayne Rooney if Manchester United say we want 35 million. So there's going to be problems coming along with that. The clubs though, the big clubs are always going to be the big clubs because they're the most supported.
Yes. That's
the key. And to be fair, getting a season ticket as a foreigner for an English club it's very difficult, and you shouldn't have one, in my opinion, because it should be a local based team. It should be that's my opinion.
Right.
If Manchester United, as daft as it sounds, all the people in Manchester that support Manchester United, for me, should have first option to get a season ticket. It's not saying that there's not a certain percentage that are on sale for everybody else to buy, but it's your home club. It's where you grew up, and you have that bond in England. People have that bond with their local club. I can remember going, and I was at Birmingham City and we got relegated, and there were people crying in the stands because they got relegated. And as a player, sometimes you look around and you go, why? It's only when I stopped playing football that I truly appreciated the fans and understood what the fans were about and what they wanted and what their ethos was, which was a difference and a change for me. So that was interesting. But to be fair, it will always happen. But a minnow, as you can see, can always get the better of a big gun on any day. Look at last year's FA Cup. It doesn't mean exactly, but it doesn't mean to say that Man United are going to win the league every year. Chelsea are going to win the league every year. One of the big 4, 5, possible 6 now will win the league every year. That's for sure. Who's going to get relegated? You have to say the teams that come up from the Championship are the favourites to go down.
Yes.
And you would be stupid if you were a chairman and came up and over budgeted and spent all your money and then got relegated again. The best model for that is West Brom.
Yes.
And they were known as the Yo-Yo Club.
Up, down,
up, down, up, down. Now they stay. Because whenever they got promoted to the Premier League, their budget remained the same.
Right.
What they did was they enticed people with bonuses, and they enticed people to sign for them on signing-on fees. So that was how they kept their budget manageable, which meant that they would never overspend, which is why West Brom are one of the better off clubs in the Premier League this year, which is quite a surprise, I'm sure.
Yeah, compact. It was a compact club.
So it's all about money management and finance at that level. How much can you afford? I mean, if you've got a stadium like Wigan, who have just been relegated, and they're only getting 10,000 people into the ground, how can you afford to pay people 50, 60, 150, 160,000 pounds? You can't, so you're always going to struggle.
It was a special game for me to play with these players. I will do everything so that Barcelona moves forward. It is something that I'm hoping for a lot. Messi is the best in the world, a great player. For me, I'm very proud and very happy to be playing with him.
A few interesting transfers going on, and those have happened. How do you see the transfer of Neymar to Barcelona?
I'm being honest, I'm not bothered about that. I'm really not worried about that. I think it was inevitable. I think it was always going to happen. I think that jury's out, and I say this with all due respect. I mean, we know Neymar is a fantastic player, but it's his first time out of the country. It's his first time playing in Europe. It's going to be totally different for him. Messi is seasoned, there's no question about that. I just wonder if Neymar's going to need a season to bed in, because he's left it a little bit late moving over to Europe, because the Brazilians, when they get that good, are normally over in Europe by his age now. And fair play to Neymar, he wanted to stay an extra year or two to help his team in Brazil. But I just don't know how he's going to cope with it. I really don't. It's a total different kettle of fish playing in Europe than South America. So I actually, and I've said this a lot, I will reserve judgment on Neymar until I've seen him in a few games, until I've seen him for half a season, and then we'll see if he really is the superstar that everybody makes him out to be. Because if he can do it in Europe, then yes, he will. If he can't do it in Europe, it's going to be an expensive flop.
Right. And how do you see the Arsenal's pursuit of Luis Suarez?
I actually thought that they were doing it to get Higuain, but obviously Higuain's moved on to Napoli now, so that's an interesting. I thought they were poking Real Madrid to say, come on, you make a bid for Suarez, you get him, we'll buy Higuain off you, and that's how. Right. Sometimes that's how transfers work. You want a player, I'll put a bid in to encourage you to bid a little bit more to get that player. The mind boggles. I can understand why he's gone for Suarez, because Suarez is a fantastic player. He's brilliant on his day, but at times I think that he's a loose cannon, and I think he's got a screw missing up top, because occasionally he does things that, you know, you shouldn't do. I mean, biting another player and that sort of thing. I mean, that's all. That's part of him, and it's part of his makeup, I suppose. But they always say that there's a fine line between genius and insanity. And I personally think that Suarez is right on the cusp, because on his day he's unplayable. But when he wants to mess around and when he does daft things, he's just like anybody else, a normal Joe.
Right. I'm a Liverpool fan, and earlier
don't worry.
Are you as well? No. Yeah. So what I wanted to ask is, earlier we were saying, when will Liverpool win the title again? Now it's like, when will we get into top 4 again? So what Liverpool will have to do to get back to their glory days?
They've got a chance this year. Let me tell you, Brendan Rodgers has gone about his business very, very shrewdly over the past 18 months. Very astute, shrewd manager. I do like him. I like the way that he works. And he's been quietly getting rid of people that he doesn't want, and he's been quietly bringing in, not mega names, the odd big name here and there, but he's been bringing in these names. And I think that the way that he works with his teams, the way that he works with his players, Liverpool could be knocking on the door this year. I don't think that they'll get in this year, and they're going to need 1 or 2 more top draw players. But I think over the next couple of years we'll see them get back into that top 4, and we could actually see them challenge for the title. That's the big issue and the big thing. But they've got one major issue there at the moment, and that's Steven Gerrard, because it's coming towards the end.
Absolutely.
How do you replace
That's the big question.
It's like taking a Bugatti car, it's like taking one of the pistons out of the most and the best and the fastest car in the world. It's like taking a piston out of that engine and saying, right, now try and go on that. This car can go 200 miles an hour. It's the best car ever. You go 250 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Take a piston out, it won't move.
It's the biggest
Steven
challenge.
Gerrard, when he comes out of that team, that's going to be an issue.
Don't have a replacement. And finally, coming to Steven Gerrard himself, my favorite player, would you rate him as the best ever player to have not have won a league title?
Oh, what a question that is, by the way. That's you'd be hard pushed to find somebody else in that category. That's possibly the toughest question I think I've ever been asked.
Really?
I'm being serious, because it makes you think and it puts you on the spot. Where you've got, how many teams? You've got Arsenal, so you take all the Arsenal teams, they've won it at some stage, right? You look at your Man Uniteds, they've won it. You know, you look at your Man Cities now,
Yeah.
you think, okay, Gascoigne, possibly, Shearer, another one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's why you know, you've got to, you have to really think about that. Gerrard, Shearer, Gaza.
Yes.
Those are three straight away. Les Ferdinand was a fantastic player. I mean, he was always a powerhouse. Clive Allen scored 50 goals in a season and didn't win the league for Spurs. You know, Hoddle. Did Glenn Hoddle win the league?
Hoddle.
No. What a player he was. I mean, the list is endless.
But Gerrard is one of them.
But I think that's you've hit the nail on the head, and that's going to be a nice sign to finish. Gerrard is definitely one of a select group of players, best players ever not to win the Barclays Premier League.
That brings us to the end of this interview. Paul, it has been a pleasure to interview you.
Pleasure was all
Thank you
mine.
very much.
Thank you very much.